Hello, guys. Welcome along Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys. It is Saturday morning. It's no football today, obviously for us. There is obviously the big game on Sunday, and we'll kind of refer to that a little bit in this podcast. But we'll obviously look at a bit of a bigger preview later in the day. Also, as well, we've got the live watch along tomorrow and the final word as well, with your chance to have your say on the Old Firm derby. Yes, it's the Old Firm derby. It's not the Glasgow derby. That's something completely different. Yes, the Celtic official Twitter account today, or X account, putting out it's the Glasgow derby. I mean, how childish can you get? I mean, it's just pure childishness, appealing to the lowest common denominator, really showing what a pathetic bunch that club, that lot across the city are. Just a joke. They're one of the biggest jokes in European football. We're going to talk a little bit of international call-ups. We've got some news around about some of our players who've been called up for first call-ups. We're going to talk about those. We're going to talk about Europa League prize money as well. A bit of a totting up process taking place. What have Rangers made so far? And we're also going to look as well at a possible summer departure from Rangers as the Nigerian nightmare might be on his way. But let's start off with a bit of Europa League money and Europa League news. Now, look, we all love a Europa League story, don't we? We all love a Rangers Thursday night. I'm hoping next year we're all going to love a Rangers Tuesday and Wednesday night. That's the aim. That's what we want. And that's what the 49ers enterprises will want as well. Look, I know you all love your Europa League, UEFA Cup, whatever you want to call it, but the aspiration for this club going forward is not the Europa League, it's the Champions League. And you can kind of see from the prize money, actually, how pathetic it is in comparison to the Champions League. I know, obviously, the Europa League does give the ultimate prize, which is obviously is not the money, it's the entry to the Champions League. Winning the Europa League gets you automatic entry to the Champions League, which is obviously got to be the main thing. But this is the prize money little sort of totting up process. This is what you get paid at different stages. So if you lose a game in the league phase, you don't get any money. Oh, what a surprise. You don't get paid for losing. Interesting. You know what? I'm surprised, in this woke world in which we live, that's actually allowed. I would have thought, you might get a 20 quid for turning up or something, because let's face it, it's all about taking part these days. You get a participation trophy, even if you finish dead last by an absolute street. Wokeism, man, drives me mental. League phase draws are worth 126,000 a draw. League phase wins are worth 379,000 pounds a win. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to see, what the Champions League ones are worth, isn't it? It'd be interesting to see what they are. I mean, I haven't found them. I haven't actually done one. A quick look. I will try and find out at some point. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to be a lot more money, isn't it? I think that's just the way it is, isn't it? It's just a lot more money, but it's still decent. It's still a bit of money. I think we made 1.776 million from our Europa League results. For reaching the knockout round playoff, you get 250,000. For reaching the round of 16, which of course Rangers did, you get 1.47 million. For reaching the quarterfinals, you get 2.11 million. So that obviously will be coming in to Rangers in the next few days. Semi-finalists get paid 3.54 million as a bonus. If you finish runner-up, you get 5.9 million. And for winning the Europa League, you get 10.95 million pounds. That's a pretty decent amount, isn't it? It's a good chunk of change, anyway, as the Americans say. I've got to say, I do that. I know it's American, but I've got to say, I do love, that saying, chunk of change. It's quite nice, that word. I like it, chunk of change. We all want a chunk of change, don't we? We all want that sort of, in our world, don't we? We all want a chunk of change. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, look, 10.95 million, it's certainly not, to be sniffed at, is it, at all? It's still a decent sum of money. I think, you've kind of got to look at sort of, take it with a slight pinch of salt, though, because you look at the Europa League, so the Champions League prize money, and you kind of compare that a little bit with the prize money for the Europa League. I mean, let me just do a little bit of a comparison for you. For a draw in the Europa League, you get 126,000. For a draw in the Champions League, you get 630,000. That's a substantial amount more. For a league phase win in the Europa League, you get £379,000. For a league phase win in the Champions League, you get £1.8 million for winning a game in the Champions League. For reaching the round of 16, which Rangers did in the Champions League, they got 1.47. If they'd done that in the Champions League, they would have made £9.2 million. Pretty amazing. For getting to the quarterfinals, Rangers will get 2.11 million. But if they'd done it in the Champions League, they would have got 10.5 million, which is slightly less than the winners of the Europa League get. The winners of the Champions League get 20.8 million pounds. So you can see the difference in value there, can't you? You know, you can see the difference in the amount of money that you can make in the Champions League and how the Champions League is worth so much more money. However, out of all the totting up and the draws and wins and qualifications for different parts, Rangers have made in total £11,015,000 from the from the Europa League, which, you know, is not to be sniffed at. It's not to be sniffed at. It's a decent amount of money. It will be useful money. Hopefully, that money will go to the sort of the fighting fund for the summer that will help us to get some more players. You know, hopefully that'll sort of bring in a few more players in the summer, and hopefully it won't go to pay for Graham Park's Big Mac, which I'm sure he has quite a few of, looking at the size on him. But yeah, £11,015,000. That's a decent amount of money, isn't it? That's a good amount of money. So, you know, again, useful money to be accruing at this stage of the season, obviously, which we paid at the end of the season to Rangers. But a fantastic thing. And let's face it, look, it's worth looking at that picture again. You know, a fantastic night, wasn't it, at Ibrox? And I've heard, you know, comments and quotes, you know, from the people who were there. You know, Andrew Kavanagh was there. Some representatives of the 49ers Enterprise Arm were also there, and apparently remarked upon the atmosphere, stating that they did not think that type of atmosphere was possible in a sporting event. I mean, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? And how it inspired them even further to get involved with the club. I mean, it's great news, isn't it? And let's face it, the atmosphere was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if any of you if you've rewatched the game as I have, or you rewatched the penalty shootout. You know, when the player, I can't remember the guy's name, who misses the last penalty for them, goes up to take that penalty, the noise from our fans singing the cries, no surrender, was absolutely amazing. It was unbelievable. So loud, just absolutely fantastic. It just blew me away. It really did. It was just brilliant, and the fans deserve that prize money divided between them. I know they only get 20 quid each or something like that, but, you know, hey, look, at the end of the day, they were absolutely fantastic. So well done, guys. Right, let's have a little look. Look, international break coming up. You know me, guys. You all know my thoughts and feelings on international breaks. Bloody hate them. Absolute waste of time, space, effort, and everything else. However, look, it does kind of have some sort of positive in the fact that it does show that if your players are getting recognised, they've clearly done well, and they are good footballers, and etc. etc. So look, there is that element of it. And let's just congratulate Nicholas Rask, who has been called for the full Belgian squad. The 21 squad, he has been called for the full Belgian national team, which is a fantastic achievement for Nico. Really is brilliant. It's just rewards for the form that Nico has shown this season. He has been unbelievable this season. You know, easily one of the best midfielders in Scotland this season, and certainly knocked Engels into a cocked hat. Engels is not in the squad. Yes, that's right. The £11 million Belgian is not in the squad, but the £1.2 million Belgian is. Who's got the better player? Hey, Celtic. Anyway, their squad is Courtois. Unbelievable goalkeeper he is. Matt Sells, he's the Forest goalkeeper, fantastic there. Just a few names I'm picking out of this. Wout Faes, I think, who's a Leicester player. Meunier, as player recognised, his name there. Their midfield, though, you've got to look at their midfield, and oh my God, Kevin De Bruyne, Nicholas Raskin, Yuri Tielemans, there's some quality in that midfield. Their strikers, Fofana, Lukaku, Doku of Man City, Openda, Trossard. there's some quality in that Belgian squad. But, well done to Nico Raskin on his first call up to the full Belgian national side. And like I've said, it's just rewards for the guy for how this season's gone for him, for how hard he has worked, in fact, for what he's achieved this season. And, look, I'll be absolutely honest with you. When Raskin got injured and he was out, there was a lot of Rangers fans doubting him. There was a lot of Rangers fans saying that he was pish, he was rubbish, get rid of him. He's a flat as to deceive, etc., etc. But he's come back, and I think he's proved a lot of people wrong. And for me, you've got a captain in the making, Nicholas Raskin. The worry has got to be, and there is a downside to getting national team selections. Of course there is. The downside is that, the more you get national team selections, the more your players start to get noticed. The more your players get noticed, the less likely you are to be able to kind of hold on to them. So that is a slight concern. But, look, he's done brilliant this season. He has been absolutely phenomenal. And he's made himself pretty much the first name on the team sheet. And for me as well, he's kind of, just shown us what a class act the lad is. And in that, he's made that number 6 role his own. He really has. And he's not looked out of place any of those European games against some very good European sides. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, we're not playing the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, etc. But, still against the likes of Nice and Malmo and Olympiacos and Fenerbahce, he's looked absolutely first class. So, look, Nicholas, absolute hats off to you, buddy. Scotty Arfield, salute to you. You've been absolutely fantastic this season. Another player who's been called up despite his recent poor form is Hamza Igerman. He's had his first senior call up to the Morocco squad. Obviously, Morocco these days do have some very talented footballers and certainly a force in world football, aren't they? They obviously did very well in the last World Cup. They've got Ashraf Hakimi of PSG. They've got Mazraoui of Manchester United. They've got, Amrabat of Fenerbahce. They've got, some Ibrahim Diaz of Real Madrid, and Nasri, obviously, of Fenerbahce as well. They've just got some absolute class acts. And, to see Hamza's name in alongside some of those names is, fantastic for the lad. And it's got to do him some good. And hopefully, it might help knock him out of this funk that he is currently in terms of his form, And I think, look, I've kind of tried to kind of explain what's wrong with him at the moment. I think there's a couple of things wrong with Hamza. I think all the speculation in January did not help, and you often find that when young players get linked with moves to clubs in England, and they get with big money moves, it does turn their head slightly. It does affect them. And then when it doesn't come off and they have to come back to playing kind of, St Johnstone, no disrespect, or Dundee and Dundee United, it's a bit after the Lord Mayor's show, isn't it? So that's part of it. I also think part of the reason that Igerman hasn't played well over the last few weeks has been because of the fact that I think he was a guy who was playing through the middle, showing brilliant confidence, looking like a quality player, really flying. And then Clement took him and stuck him on the left wing and ruined his confidence, the same way he did with Fabio Silva, who now looks a top player out in Spain. So, I think we've got Clement to thank for the fact that he pretty much destroyed Igerman's confidence. And I think that has also affected his level as well. But look, on the whole, you've got to say fair play, to get in the Morocco squad. Excellent. And again, it's going to be something that doesn't really help us because, again, at the end of the day, that's an overused phrase, I know, but he's going to stand out. He's going to look, again, like a player. Hopefully it will benefit us in the short term, but in the long term, obviously, I think it's going to benefit others. In particular, obviously, I'm talking about whoever comes in and bids for him in the summer. Right, look, let's move it along a little bit more. So we've talked about call-ups. Let us know what you think of Raskin's call-up. Let us know what you think of Igerman's call-up. We've talked about Europa League prize money as well. Obviously, let us know what you think of that. I must say, I was actually quite taken aback with the difference between the champions. I kind of knew it was there, but to actually see it in black and white is pretty amazing. It's pretty fantastic. It's pretty just fantastical. Look, Sunday is massive. Sunday is massive. Look, in terms of this season, it's not massive because the league's done. The league's over. Even if we win on Sunday, it's down to 13 points. That still makes absolutely no difference. Even if we beat them at Ibrox, it's 10 points. It ain't going to happen. They're not going to lose 4 games between now and the end of the season because the rest of Scotland is shit. So, realistically, and also, can you really see us winning every game between now and the end of the season in domestically? I mean, we've lost the last 4 at Ibrox on the spin. But there we go. So look, I don't think that's possible. But look, it's not about that for me. It's not about this season anymore. It's not about, getting the 3 points to cut the gap between us and them. It's about laying down a marker. It's about drawing a line in the sand and drawing that line to say, right, this is it. This is it. We do not take another step back. We do not fall back. We do not retreat. We do not go quietly. We go from this line and we only go forward. We stand our ground and we only move forward from now on. And that's what we've got to do. Beat them and lay down a marker. If we can go to Parkhead, and it's going to be really hard on Sunday to go there and to win, then it will lay down a marker. It will let them know that we are not going to take any more of their shit. We're not going to play. We're not happy to be second fiddle. We're not going to take a step back. And it's also about a mentality changer as well. I think amongst a lot of our players, there is a kind of an element of, oh, we can't beat them at Parkhead. We can't beat them. Now, obviously, the win at Ibrox went a long way to kind of dispel that. But I think if we could do it at Parkhead as well, that really would see a real sea change in attitudes for some of our players and a real kind of getting away from this, oh, we can't beat Celtic at Parkhead. It's just not possible. And turning them into some sort of green and grey supermen, which they certainly aren't at all. Brendan Rodgers has obviously been gobbing off today about Rangers and about what he sees. And look, I don't care. It's a shame we couldn't give a shit what Brenda thinks. It's just him mind gaming it, trying to be the big I am, trying to do us down, which is standard. And Barry Ferguson, I think, feels the same. He said in his presser yesterday, he said the following. He said, if people want to talk about us, I couldn't care less. I am focused on us as a group and finishing this season as strong as possible. Spot on, absolutely spot on. And that's what you want. Manager doesn't give a shit what anyone else thinks. It's about us. It's about us doing our best and us going forward. He talked about being purely focused on the Celtic game. He said you look forward to these games as a Rangers player. And I think he's got to get into the present players. This whole, let's stop being nice. Let's get stuck into them. Let's make their lives a misery. Let's get harsh on them. Let's really rough them up. Because I'll be honest with you, if you go out there against Celtic and you go after them from minute one, you get in their faces, you're rough, you ragdoll them, you push them around, they will crack because they don't like it. And you see that, Dortmund did that to them, demolished them 7-1. Munich did that, beat them. So at the end of the day, that's the way to go forward, isn't it? That's the way to go forward. Barry Ferguson also said he looks forward to Sunday. We will go and play with a game plan and we can be flexible and change if required. I think that is something we haven't done enough of this season. So hopefully, that is something that will help us and benefit us moving forward. And, one of the things that we've kind of all demanded, haven't we? Looking at Philippe Clement was in charge, was that flexibility of movement, that flexibility of formation, that flexibility of approach within games. And hopefully now we're starting to get it. So look, that's just a little snippet of what Barry had to say. But overall, you've got to say, look, it's about laying down a marker. That's what it's about Sunday now. It's about changing attitudes, changing mentalities. Now, there's been a number of stories in the media over recent times about the fact that Rangers will listen to offers for Cyril Dessers in the summer, despite his recent good form. But then, look, I think we saw a little bit on Dessers on Thursday night. He kind of regressed back into what we know Dessers can be. And that's the frustrating thing with him, that he is so hit and miss. He can look absolutely fantastic in one game, yet in another game look absolutely awful. And that inconsistency with him, I think, frustrates people. It angers people. And it's probably why we don't get what we want from him. Yes, he scored 22 goals. Yes, he does well from that aspect. And look, fair play to the man. Well done. Fantastic. But, this is a guy who could be scoring 30, 35, 40 goals a season. But his frustration is that consistency level of performance, which is not there. Now, there's been stories going around about, links to different players, links to this player, links to that player. Now, I knew that someone, I can't remember which pundit it was, talked about Toyosi Olasanya of St Mirren been a possible target for Rangers. Look, he's 28, he's 2 years younger than Dessers. Yes, Nessers has done really well this season. He's been, he's got a good record: 44 appearances, 22 goals, 7 assists, 29 goal contributions in 44. Pretty decent. I'm not saying he hasn't, but like I said, it's the inconsistency that hurts his standing with a lot of people. Um, look, I'm not saying that we're going for Olasanya, but what I'm saying is he is the type of player to some degree that we need to be looking at, that we need to be kind of looking at. Can we bring in players who've got experience of the SPL already, that understand the SPL already, so that they don't have to have an adaptation period, that there's not, a big, long adaptation period, that there is a kind of straight hit the ground running kind of approach. Now, I'm not saying for a minute that Olasanya would be a good signing or a good replacement for Dessers. I know that's been suggested in some areas, but what I'm saying is that sort of player who has Scottish Premier League experience, who understands the game, who understands what playing for Rangers means, who understands the league, who understands the Rangers Celtic rivalry, gets it. I think to some degree, domestically, that's the type of player you need, because after all, I think one of the things that's been leveled at Rangers this season is, yes, they've done really well in Europe, but that's because they're set up to play in Europe. Whereas domestically, they've struggled because of the fact we don't have enough players who have that grit, determination to rough it out in the league and get the points. Guys, let me know what you think of that anyway. Right, thank you for watching Glasgow Rangers Nation, guys, this Saturday morning. Obviously, like I said, there is no game for Rangers today. We play Sunday against that lot from across the city. There are some games, however, today. Kilmarnock, Hibernian, Motherwell, St Mirren, St Johnstone, Aberdeen, Hearts, Ross County. There is 2 derbies tomorrow. There's the Old Firm derby, Celtic Rangers, obviously the main one. And then at 3 o'clock, there is the Dundee derby, the Ding Dong Dundee derby, as Dundee United host Dundee, struggling Dundee. So that's the fixtures for this weekend. Thank you for watching, guys. Please, on the way out, obviously comment, like, and share, and obviously subscribe to the channel for free. We don't hide our content behind paywalls here on Glasgow Rangers Nation. And remember always, we are the people.